Thank you for coming. I am so happy that you guys are here. I just want to say that Navajo weaving is a wonderful tool. It's a wonderful tool to create art that you can touch and feel. It's also that you can make cloth, clothing. This is a traditional Navajo dress.
Oh,
Did you guys see that?
Oh my goodness.
So this is back in the day before we had factories that created clothing. We had to make clothing ourselves. So this is the rug dress that was made for me. I got married in.
Oh, really?
Yes, I did.
I was just gonna ask you, what would you use that for, like a?
Today, now it's just more for important ceremonial events, like getting married.
Right. That could be a
And,
sermon.
yeah, or when you have like your prayers, or they do the ceremonies and songs. So I reserve it for those special occasions. And my very first teacher was my grandmother, Tiffany Yazzie, and this is her right here. She was really well known for her picture rugs. And this is her demonstrating in her hogan. She would demonstrate every day because we lived in a place called Monument Valley, Southern Estate. And there, she would invite tourists every day, and she would demonstrate how to mold the wool into yarn and then apply that into a rug. So she was my very first teacher. So as a child, I spent a lot of my summer vacations spending time with her, and that's kind of how I learned. And with the weaving, I think what you're going to see and find out is it also teaches you how to think, how to use your senses like feeling. It also it begs you to ask questions throughout the whole weaving process, from sheet to textile, where you have to play with your materials. You play with the colors. You play with the size and form of it, and you ask yourself, how am I going to make this interesting, exciting, and intriguing to someone who would look at it? So it starts with the sheep, and with the sheep, you start to begin to ask yourself, and you become like a zoologist. You're studying the types of sheep, and you ask yourself, what sheep makes the softest wool? And say you want to make it skinnier, and usually it's fluffy, you would roll like this, okay? And that spin, as you'll notice in the fiber that's being passed around, it's just this spinning. You don't see multiple strands in it, you just see a one-ply wool. It's just a thick piece of wool that you're gonna spin, and the more you spin, the thinner it gets. And then you start asking yourself, I want color. So and then you start thinking like a botanist. What plants can I use to color this? So I can get something vibrant like this, or the colors you see in that textile there. And that's the thing with the whole Navajo weaving process is you're creating your own materials to your needs, what you need as you create. So you have to create your own loom. And as a carpenter, you have to pick out your wood, and luckily Ace Hardware had some wood that I could use, a 2x6. And if I want to make something big and strong like that, my frame has to be big and strong. So then I have to create a loom to what size I want to make it. And it has to be sturdy because it's going to have a lot of pressure on it to hold all these strings. So one of the tools that I created, that we create, if you're lucky, you inherit your tools. And lucky for me, I had a great grandmother who made this. But my grandmother told me, you should make your own, so you know how to respect it. And so mine was this.
That's pretty good.
Compared to this. But you also, I'm going to pass this around. You're going to know, like, as an engineer, what good wood you use to create your tools. And the old way, they really use cedar, they use strong wood, and you'll feel it. And then you'll see the manufactured wood that you find in stores, and you'll feel how light it is. Can you feel that? Yeah.
Definitely.
So the bigger one's really hardy. That's been passed down. It's smoothed down. It's been in our family for probably over 5 generations.
Wow.
And that one's mine.
It's mine now.
So I realized how hard it is. She was trying to teach me, take care of your tools, but how to create your own tools. So through that engineering process, you also have to create your batten that you're going to use to weave. So once I'm done with that, as a weaver, I finally get to weave. With Navajo weaving, I can finally start creating these textiles. But wait, as a weaver, I need to create my own canvas out of string. And this is what we call a warp. This is my canvas. And this is my paint. And this part is very time consuming, but this is the thing that takes the longest, and you have to get right as a weaver. So weaving is done on a vertical loom where you sit at. It's just the way, the traditional method of how you weave. You're weaving at a loom that's standing up, and you're sitting down, and you're weaving up. This is an example of what my grandmother did, what my auntie does, is a Yeti rug. And this is representative of our gods, like our holy beings that we pray to, and they dance in the winter. They are calling to the gods for help in regards to whatever resolution that they're trying to find.
Okay.
Okay, that's another indicative thing. Traditional rugs, the pattern is the same on this side to this side.
Yeah.
How do you do
It's
that?
not reversed, if you turn it
Oh, well,
back
it's kind of
over.
reversed. You know what I
Look
mean?
at the shadows.
Yeah, okay,
Look
yeah,
at
I
the
see it,
shadows
yeah.
on your face.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's representative.
So today I'm going to be talking about not only the physical tools that artists use, different media, but I also am going to be talking about the mental tools, because creating art is very mental. It's very there's a lots of ways to prepare yourself mentally to make an artwork. Pablo Picasso said, "Every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once he grows up."
Is that you?
That is me. Maybe we conform and fall in step with a culture that art is only for the gifted and talented. And somewhere along the way, we've decided that we are not. Elements of art and design. So we have line, shape, color, value, form, texture, and space. Every artwork has at least one of these. Most visual arts have all of them. You can see the different ratings that they have. Number 2 pencil that we use, an HB. So it's right in the middle. So this was done with one size Sharpie, and there's many different size.
Right.
The ultra fine point is what is my baby, is what I like. But this is where we see a lot of hatching and cross hatching. Pencil,
Cool.
and that's this one right here.
Mhm.
Colored pencil has the same ideas as regular graphite pencil, where the amount of pressure you put determines to a point how dark it gets. Festivals, chalk, and they do pull out really nice chalks and pastels, and they use those interchangeably. And I think that'd be fun in my future to attend some of those. And I like the challenge. I like the challenge of figuring it out and really capturing the essence of it. And watercolor paint is pigment mixed with resin such as honey or gum arabic. So don't leave it out or your dog will eat them. Mine does. The amount of water determines the intensity of the color. I use watercolor paints in tubes. There are cake watercolors too that are really nice if you are going plein air painting, because then you don't have to mess with the tubes. And so it's very cost effective. Watercolor paint is. It's non-toxic. But basically I think of it as dyeing your paper. Because once it's on your paper, you really can't take it off. I work from the background forward. And I'll add, I'll block in my main colors in the background, and then think in steps. What's the middle ground going to be? What's the foreground going to be? And you can mix it. It's good. It works well if you pre-mix it on your palette. You can improvise on and mix on your canvas, but again, you have a short amount of time that you can to mix. You know, art is never a finished, only abandoned kind of a thing.
I agree with that.
Self-acceptance is a big part of being
Oh,
an
yeah.
artist.
Oh, yeah.
Allowing yourself to make mistakes, knowing that you might fail every time you try, and that's okay.
Yeah.
There's always another canvas, there's always another day.